lot of times people like to think and talk about heaven. But on the other hand, most people do not like to think or talk about hell. We must realize that a person can go to heaven or hell. In places like Matthew 7:13 through 14 and Luke 16:19 through 31. In Matthew, Jesus talked about heaven being a narrow gate where few would enter, and hell being a broad gate, and many would go into that gate, and it leads to destruction. We cannot pretend that hell does not exist just because it's something we do not like to talk about, or would rather not think about. A lot of people believe that everyone is going to heaven, but is that what the Bible teaches? What is hell? It's not just a word that people like to say when they get mad, even though many people do. It is a fiery pit of destruction, and it is very real. If we think that hell is not real, we might as well not believe in God or what God has to say. We know God is love according to 1 John 4, verse 16, but God has other characteristics also. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, and I will repay, saith the Lord. If you are going to say there is no hell, then you have to deny the rest of God's traits, such as his vengeance. Hell is a place to fear and avoid. Matthew 18, verse 8 through 9, and Matthew 10, verse 28. Hell is a lake of fire and brimstone. Revelations 20, verse 10, and Genesis 19, verse 24. Both point that out to us. Hell is a bottomless pit, according to Revelation 20, verse 30. Matthew 8, verse 12 tells us it is a place of weeping and gnashing of teeth. The sounds of hell are horrible to even imagine. Hell is also a place of complete darkness. This is what a person in hell will experience. If that were not enough, a person loses a lot when they go to hell. They lose their life firstly, they lose the fellowship with God, and they lose the fellowship with their loved ones. Some people think that hell is a joke, and even joke about it with their friends. But that is an awful joke, because hell is no joking matter. And if all those things weren't enough, hell is a place where all hope is lost. If you put all these things together, we can start to imagine what hell is truly like. And we have to remember that hell lasts forever, according to Matthew 25, verse 46. A lot of people's main question about hell is who is going there. Unbelievers who are bound for hell, according to 2 Thessalonians 1, verse 7 through 9, and 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 11 through 12, tells us those who believe not the truth are going as well. 2 Peter 2, verse 4 tells us that angels who have sinned will be there. Remember, the devil was an angel who sinned against God. And finally, we know that unfaithful Christians will end up in hell, according to Peter 2, verse 20 through 21. Why is there such a place as hell? Firstly, because of man's wrong choices. God has never forced anyone to obey him, even in the Old Testament. Man had a choice to make. Joshua 24, verse 15. Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. God doesn't choose hell for anyone. We make that choice ourselves. Jesus said, Few there be that find it, Matthew 7. This is true because there are few willing to make the right choice. If we choose to serve the devil, we choose the destiny of the devil. Hell exists because we need both the appeal of love and the fear of hell. Proverbs 1, verse 7, and Hebrews 12, verse 11. Imagine what school or jobs would be like if there were no rules. Now imagine what it would be like if there were no punishment for breaking those rules. School wouldn't be very good if there were no teachers and a principal or a boss to keep students behaving well. Imagine if there were not laws. What if there were no police or any jail? We would have have these things to keep people from doing wrong. I want to go to heaven, and at the same time, I really do not want to go to hell. Knowing that hell is as real as heaven, we have to do what God says so we can avoid the torture of hell and enjoy the rewards of heaven. Here's what you have to do in order to avoid hell and go to heaven. Hear Romans 10:17, believe John 3:16, repent Luke 13:3 and 5, confess Romans 10:10, and be baptized Acts 2:38. Then we must live faithfully, Revelation 2:10. If you need to avoid hell and head towards heaven, come now as we stand and sing.